Are you planning to build a PC with a Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7 CPU? Then ASRock B550M Pro 4 is one of your possible choices if you want to get a good budget motherboard. But what is included in the box? What are the main features and connectivity options? Let's find out! First of all, to those who are in doubt, B550, X570 or maybe B450 chipset motherboard, it's mostly depending on what exact CPU are you planning to get. Let's say for Ryzen 5 3600 you should be fine with a decent B450 motherboard, especially if you're trying to save a buck or two. But unless you find a good deal on B450, I would suggest looking into B550 motherboards. Most of the time they are a bit more expensive than B450 but also have a better quality VRMs, Gen 4 PCIe support, as well as they have a better out-of-the-box CPU upgrade path. What about the X570? Well, generally I would recommend going for X570 only if you are building really high-end gaming or workstation system with say Ryzen 7 5800X or Ryzen 9 CPU. So for the most part, B550 chipset motherboards suit best for mid-range, high-end or even a more budget PC builds. Let's get back to the ASRock B550M Pro 4 motherboard. It's more of a budget B550 motherboard, but well built and has quite a few nice features. But first, let's have a look at what's included in the box. Motherboard's manual, one of the most important things when building a PC. Then we have an included disk with drivers, but you should definitely check the latest ones online. 2 SATA cables for your SSD or a hard drive, a few small M.2 screws for securing NVMe drives, standard I/O shield, and here comes the motherboard. All the heatsinks are brushed aluminum, so I imagine it should look quite awesome in white or black-white themed PC build. ASRock B550M Pro 4 is a micro ATX motherboard, so have it in mind when shopping for a chassis. But what are the main features of B550M Pro 4? It has a 6-phase V-Core VRM design with a massive heatsink. It can definitely hold Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7 overclocking quite well. With enough cooling, this motherboard can run even Ryzen 9 chip, but obviously Ryzen 9 owners will probably go for more expensive board anyway. Pro 4 has to offer really nice storage options. 2 M.2 slots and one of them is covered by M.2 shield and supports Gen 4 NVMe drives. Also 6 SATA 6 gigabit per second ports. This board does not have onboard Wi-Fi, but it actually has a third M.2 slot that is dedicated to a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth PCIe module. 4 DIMM slots that supports DDR4 up to 4700 MHz memory. But in general, 3600 MHz is a sweet spot for Ryzen 5000, and I would say even 3200 MHz will do a job, especially if you can find it a bit cheaper. Pro 4 has 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 internal headers, and that's quite a rare feature on budget motherboards, though it would have been nice to get an internal Type-C header instead of one of these. Troubleshooting LEDs is also a nice thing to get, but it's not so rare feature these days. Planning to use quite a few fans? This motherboard has a CPU, pump and 4 additional fan headers. Planning to use lots of RGB? That's also covered, and so it features 2 RGB and 2 addressable RGB headers. It's awesome that ASRock used a higher quality audio codec, Realtek ALC 1200, which is typically found in more expensive motherboards. Moving forward, let's have a look at motherboard's I/O. Sure, it doesn't have an integrated I/O shield, but at this price point you can't expect that. Nevertheless, B550M Pro 4 is well stocked. You get USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C and Type-A ports, 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A and 2 USB 2.0 ports, Realtek Gigabit LAN, 7.1 digital audio, PS2 port, and a VGA, HDMI and display port in case you decide to go for a CPU with integrated graphics. So even if ASRock B550M Pro 4 is considered more of a budget B550 motherboard, it has some nice mid-range motherboard features. Currently it sells for $114, which is an MSRP price of this board. Regarding compatibility with Ryzen 5000, it depends on what BIOS version a motherboard is shipped from a certain shop. Board needs to have P1.20 BIOS in order to work with a Ryzen 5000 CPU out of the box, so I advise checking with a seller before purchasing one. This might be a downside for some, as you need to have Ryzen 3000 CPU lying around for a BIOS update process, or in some cases the seller can do it for you, but an additional fee might be applied. In this case, MSI and some Gigabyte motherboards have an advantage here, as they feature a BIOS flashback functionality for an easy BIOS update. So let's have a look at a few similar priced alternative motherboards in case B550M Pro 4 is overpriced or not available in your country. MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi. This is a few bucks cheaper motherboard with an integrated Wi-Fi, but it has a lower tier audio codec, few SATA ports, and the I/O panel loses a few 3.2 Gen 2 ports, though this motherboard has internal Type-C header, but in general also a good board for its price, especially if you want onboard Wi-Fi. In case you wonder what's the best budget board for overclocking, MSI B550M Bazooka is a strong option here. It's still using lower tier audio codec than Pro 4, but can handle more crazy overclocking than any motherboard under 130 bucks. Also, it's a motherboard to get if you intend to upgrade to a Ryzen 9 in the future. As for an ETX motherboard in this price range, it's hard to find one, as they are more expensive than micro ATX boards. And so MSI B550A Pro for around $140 is the cheapest ATX motherboard I would go for. It has a better VRM design than any of the boards I've mentioned today, but it's 26 bucks more expensive than ASRock B550M Pro 4, so we are approaching more of a mid-range price point here. As I mentioned before, MSI motherboards have a BIOS flashback feature that makes BIOS update much easier if needed. And as always, I will leave links to all of these B550 motherboards in the description below. Recently I've decided to start some private consultation sessions. It's for anyone that is planning to build a PC and would like to book a dedicated time for making a personal PC part list for a certain budget, or just need some guidance on the best value and quality PC parts in your country. So if you are interested, you can do it by messaging EpicGameTech on Instagram or Facebook page. Also, you can check possible timings in the calendar at the top right corner. Share, like, subscribe, and definitely check other videos right here.